Yes people, so this video you're about to watch is a couple years old. Wasn't really going to use it, but I thought, you know what, it's content in it. So yeah, it's from a couple years old, from a couple track days ago. So got a few videos like this, so I'm gonna throw these ones out here first and then we'll come up to date. So enjoy. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are finally here, jumping on the tube, getting some content. Been meaning to do this for a very long time, as in what, 4 years now? Been waiting to do this. Not even waiting, I've just been putting it off. It's just been one of those things where just been taking bare long to jump on the bandwagon. Like I said, I should have jumped on this like 4 years ago. But anyway, enough of that. We are here now. Right, what are we getting into today? So today we are working on my 2001 GTI Turbo, which is heavily modified. I'm going to do an in-depth video at some point explaining what I've done, what she's got in her, what the plans are with her and X, Y and Z. But for today we've got a couple of issues that we need to sort today. First issue is the drain plug on the gearbox. I think the crush washer is broken, so it's basically over the last few months it's just been dripping out oil until the point where now it is completely dry. There is nothing in this gearbox. So we've got the tools, we've got the oil, and we're going to go through that. And then another job is we need to change the cam sensor on the engine because it's reading intermittently from what the scanner was telling me. So yeah, let's get ahead and get this cracking. Here is my GTI Turbo. It's been sitting for a minute. So our first job before we start any of that is we need to jump start the vehicle, because as you can see on the clocks, the mileage isn't coming up and the time is not coming up. So she's completely flat. So we're gonna have to give her a jump start quick. So let's pop that. Get this special thing out. Come around here. Right, here she is, the beast. For those of you who don't know, 1.8 turbo 20 valve. This was the first petrol turbo car in production amongst the VAG group, which, like I said, in another video we'll dive into a lot. But for now, let's get her up and running. So that's all connected. Double check the connections. Yep, cool. Right, let's fire her up. So yep, as you can see, the time's now come up on that side and the mileage has now come up on that side, so that means we've got power. So right, moment of truth, lights on dash, that's always a good sign. Fire her up. There we go, no long take. Right, so now that we've fired her up, we're gonna move her out of the position that she is in now, because cars are a bit close to me and I want to have space to be able to get my jack in and get my axle stands in without having to shimmy up against someone else's car. We're gonna move the car and then we're gonna crack on with the jobs that we need to do. Right, so now we've got the vehicle moved into a decent spot, we can actually start cracking on with the work that we have to do today. So there she is. So like I said, we're going to put some oil in the gearbox, we're going to change the cam sensor, and then also I want to go around the whole vehicle underneath and do a nut and bolt check. The reason being is because we actually have a track day coming up real soon with this vehicle on the 9th of September with the gas gang. So yeah, I just want to make sure that everything's all good and everything's all tight and not have any issues to worry about. Over the next few weeks I'm going to be dropping videos on other little jobs that I need to do. Yeah, we've got quite a bit of work to do to this car. I think we can do it in the time. Like, obviously, bearing in mind I do work and stuff like that, but yeah, I think we've got more than enough time to get majority, if not all of these jobs done. But yeah, enough waffling, let's crack on, get it up on the axle stands and start this job. So just quickly, I thought I'd give you a breakdown of the tools and obviously the materials that I'm going to be using for the first job, which is adding gearbox oil to the gearbox. As you can see, first things first, gonna need 2 axle stands and a jack. Realistically, I'd want to do it with 4 axle stands, like put the whole car on axle stands, because then that way the car sits level. But for today, we've only got 2 axle stands, so we're just using the 2. So got a toolkit which is 1/2 inch, which we're going to need to run this socket here, because this socket here is actually what opens the plug on the gearbox. Here's what we got. Here's a replacement plug. As you can see, it's a special type of insert. It's not your usual tools, and that's what this is for. So it has the right pattern to be able to open and close this plug. So basically what seemed to have failed on the last one is this washer just here. It's not sealing properly, so we've got a nice brand new OEM one on there that we're going to be fitting today, as well as putting obviously new oil in. The oil we're going to be using is Miller's Motorsport gear oil. It's the CRX 75W90 NT Plus. It is a fully synthetic. I have to run the Motorsport oil. The reason being is I have an upgraded diff, upgraded clutches. I've also put some strengthening bits in the gearbox as well. Basically, the only thing that is original in that gearbox is basically the synchros, the actual gears themselves. But everything else has pretty much been changed, or it's been strengthened. So selector forks have been changed. It's great. It's got a billet steel input shaft, and then on top of that, it has a 4th gear support. So just because the power levels that I'm looking to take this vehicle to, I want the gearbox to be able to handle it. And I thought, you know what, while I had to change the clutch and the slave, I thought, you know what, let me get all the gearbox work out the way now. Obviously, some of you are probably thinking, oh, why don't you chuck a set of dog set gears in it? I would have liked to, but realistically, one, this is going to be a street car that I use on the track from time to time. And then secondly, mate, the dog set for this car is like £2 alone, so it's very pricey, and I wasn't willing to spend that at the time, and my synchros are good. So yeah. Okay, what else have we got? We've got a breaker bar. We've got a nice mat to lay on because we want to be comfortable while doing the job. We've got a bottle of water to keep ourselves hydrated, and we'll see what's in that bag a bit later on. But on that note, let's get cracking and get this job done. So first things first, we're going to loosen the nuts on this wheel. The reason being is because the reason why we're going to loosen the nuts on this wheel is because once we jack it up, the wheel's going to be able to spin freely. Even if you put it in gear, it'll still be able to spin with enough force. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going to loosen them while they're on the ground, and it's easy to do so. Then when I jack it up, I can just spin them off and take it straight off. Right, they're nice and loose. The reason why I could potentially be taking this wheel off is just this is the side that the gearbox sits, and it'd just be easier to actually get to the plugs, because I know the plug on the gearbox is pretty much sits just behind the rear wheel. So it's just to create more working space, that's all. But right, let's get this thing jacked up. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to put the jack around this side, because this is the side that I'm going to be working on, just to have as an extra support. Can never be too safe. Right, let's just give you like a little view of the work that we're doing today. I've been leaking from this plug here. Leaking from this plug here, look, as you can see. It's all wet. That's where it's been leaking on. So we're going to be replacing this plug. And that's where we fill from. So that's the drain plug. This one here's the drain plug. And that's the fill plug. And then also there, just above, you can see that is my 4th gear support. Right, we are now on to the filling up the gearbox part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the plug and we'll get this set up and ready to go. So we've replaced this plug here with a nice fresh one, even though we didn't need to, because it seems fine to me. Just obviously it wasn't tightened up properly. So the next one, we're going to take this out so that we can then fill up our gearbox with oil again. Is how you change your gearbox oil. Obviously, well, not change because we didn't have any oil in the gearbox where it leaked out, but obviously you do those same steps if you was changing the oil. The only difference is when you're taking the plug off, make sure you have a bowl underneath to catch the oil, as in the same way you would do with an oil change on the engine. Right, next job that we're on to now, we are going to be replacing the cam sensor. So the cam sensor is located just in here, just behind this clip on the side of the engine. It's pretty much, I think it's 2 10mm bolts and unplugging the sensor, and that's it. So first of all, we're going to have to remove this charge pipe, which is a 13 there. Right. Did off camera go underneath the car and do a nut and bolt check. I didn't feel it was something that I needed to film. It's just a bit tedious, me just grabbing a load of sockets, going around just checking a load of bolts to make sure they're tight. So, which is pretty self-explanatory. I don't think, yeah, that's pretty much it on the cam and the gearbox side. Now literally all we have to do is jack her back up, take the axle stands out, put her down on the ground, start her up and clear some codes. So right, time to get this down on the ground. And there we go, back down onto all fours. Right, we're back here in the car now. Time to test to make sure this all works all right. So, we've got ignition. Take it out of gear, because we don't want to go flying anywhere. So yeah, it's all good. Let the fuel pump prime. Engine management light, that's a good sign. But we have an OBD reader here anyway. Run a diagnostic. Now I can't remember if the engine has to be running or it works funny with this car. So no, I think it's just got I reckon ignition's got to be off completely, but the key has to be in it. So right, let's try this again. Yeah, there we go. So right. So yeah, this was the code that I had before. So it's a P0010, a camshaft position camshaft position actuator circuit open bank 1. So I've just changed the sensor, so let me double check, make sure there's no more codes. Oh, and we've got an O2 sensor, which we will do on a later video because I don't have one at the moment, but cool. What we'll do now is we will erase the codes. So erase done. So we've got no codes, so this startup should be a bit more smoother. Idling perfect. So let's give it a little tickle. See, normally like that it would be popping and banging, which it isn't now, which I'm glad about, because normally it'd be bow bow bow, like not really loud but little crackles and pops, but it's not in the map, it's not written in for it to do that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna leave the vehicle to warm up. We're gonna go and put some fuel in it, which I'm dreading because I can only run this car on 99 octane, so it's a V power. So God knows how much that's gonna cost me just to get it up to half a tank. I reckon probably about 20-30 quid. But I doubt I'm even gonna put that in, to be honest. From the test drive, we'll know if the cam sensor's working correctly or not. So, alright, time for the test drive. Vehicle is all nicely warmed up. First of all, gear changes seem pretty smooth. No noise is what we like to hear. second gear pull in here, I think. Boy, I forgot how fast this thing actually was. Still getting the popping and banging though. I've got a feeling that might be something to do with the O2 sensor, because it shouldn't be doing that at all around the low revs. Other than, I reckon the car needs a little tracking. Other than that, it feels good, man. It's driving good, the gearbox feels good, clutch feels good, steering feels good. Power's all there, nice and smooth. Yeah, man. Good place to be. So thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and I shall see you guys soon.